Hello, I'm the Pink Phantom, and this is my podcast. Join me as I delve into the world of games and gaming, and especially old school RPGs. Together, let's voyage into the astral realm and check out my Phantom Thoughts. We are back with Foundations by Tom Anna. The last prompt was words in stone describe the writing and languages that emerge in the ancient world. So this is what I came up with. The Suverian language is one of motion. The thundering of the great Chigari and Homla herds drown out sound, so they developed a system of gestures and communicate with sweeping motions of hand, arms, legs, and body. For closer and more private contact, they use finger gestures and clicks from the throat. Later, great hides with first colors and then symbols also began being used. Records on similar hides also were developed. The various peoples that split off from the Suvaria developed calls and other vocalizations, even more so for communication in forest, cave, and underwater. The Jacene in caves developed touch-based records, and the Hane made the trees and rocks their memory. And because this card is a two-part card, it will be shuffled back into the deck to see if it comes up again. We'll just shuffle through that a little bit. And we will draw another card here. This card is the Golden Path. Laden with treasures, the merchants traveled great distances along their routes. Foreign ideas began to spread and mingle, create the path of a vast trade route between two civilizations. And this is actually the first of the club cards that we just mixed into the deck. And go into the book to see if there's any further direction. Choose two settlements on the same continent. They must have different cultures and be far apart. Create a network of roads connecting these two settlements. The roads should connect to other settlements and follow easily traversable paths. Over time, people, cultures, and resources travel back and forth along this route. Ideas, inventions, and beliefs spread through trade and travelers. What sort of people travel this route? What name is given for the well-trodden paths? How does the influence of traders, missionaries, and scholars affect nomadic peoples through whose land this path might cross? You may also add up to 3 additional settlements representing waypoints, market towns, or tribal holdings. So I think what I'm going to do here is on my map over in the northwest corner, there's a settlement that developed right on the edge of the ice before the ice age ended. And I think I'm going to run a trade route to a nearby, to a river that's there, and then down there to another settlement that was already established, and then across to the east to the edge of the bay where my sort of amphibious culture is. And we can add a couple settlements, probably one right where that route meets the river, and then one along the middle of the route there. And let's see what kind of cultures will develop. We'll probably work on the cultures kind of in the in-between session like I've been doing, because I don't have any real big ideas that spring to mind right now, something I want to ponder on. So I'm going to draw into the card here. And this card is Wild Magic. Powerful magic flowed through the veins of those chosen by the gods. Create a subculture of people in whom magic is potent or powerful, or create a species of people who are transformed into something monstrous. So in the book version, it says magic begins occurring randomly in small number of people who are born with special powers. How does the world react? And how common or rare are they? And that's the wild magic part. And then there's a second part, cursed blood. Magic cursed those who touched it, turning them into hideous monstrosities. Magic randomly occurs in small numbers of people, overtaking their bodies and transforming them. So I think that's a good place to develop this western part. Most of what I've been doing has been along the eastern part of the continent here that I've drawn. And I think that's a good place to have to pull magic in, because there's that high magic area on the eastern half of the continent, and this would be a good way to establish some magic on the west part of the continent. So since both of those cards are two pretty kind of deep thinking cards, I think I'm going to take those offline. So that's a little shorter session, maybe. I don't know time wise if that's the case, but probably not quite as much material. I should have a lot to write about during the week for next time. So I hope you'll tune in and hear the results. And now, more from my solo AD&D RPG campaign, Tales of the Dragon Slayers. And now, once again, we rejoin the Dragon Slayers, exploring the last of the upper section of their new home, dungeon/keep that they've adopted as their base of operations. It's kind of funny. The whole reason I decided to do the quote-unquote live presentation of this exploration was it's a small little sub-level. And I didn't think it would take nearly as long as it has, so it's interesting the way these things develop. So last we left off, they had a confrontation with another party of adventurers, a party of some third-level evil adventurers. They had slain a couple of 3 members of that group, and the rest had retreated. And on their turn, they chased them down the corridor eastward and into a 4x4 room from which they don't see any sign of their former rivals. There are 3 doors leading out of this room, one to the east on the north side of the wall, one to the south on the east side of that wall, and one on the short section of wall to the west. With no imminent sign of their quarry, they're going to go ahead and take a rest here. Actually, first we should roll to see what is in this room, because this is an unexplored room for them, and we need to see what it contains before we can determine if they can take a rest here or if there's something else going on. And with a roll of a 20, they get a treasure. So there is a treasure in the room. Let's see what it's in. So what do they see when they come into the room? They see pottery jars. And these pottery jars are roll on table, and we get they are guarded by a symbol. Let's see, I know that is a spell. What level spell is symbol? Symbol. Ooh, that is an 8th level spell. All right, let's see what that is. A symbol spell causes the creation of magical runes which affect creatures which pass over, touch, read, or pass through the portal upon which the symbol is inscribed. Upon casting the spell, the magic user inscribes the symbol upon whatever surface he or she desires. Likewise, the spellcaster is able to place the symbol of his or her choice using any one of the following: death, discord, fear, hopelessness, insanity, pain, sleep, and stunning. The type of symbol cannot be recognized without being read and thus activating its effects. So that's 8 potential. So it's a D8. D8. Number 8. 1 or more creatures whose total hit points do not exceed 160 will be stunned and reeling for 3 to 12 3d4 rounds, dropping anything it or they hold in their manipulative members. So there's a symbol on one of these pottery jars. So I think first the party would search the room before messing with the pottery jars. So we'll mark off some time for that. And that's going to give us probably enough time for a wandering monster check, or a random encounter check. 4, they don't get anything. So now their usual case is that their thief, who is Bernie, will try to deal with the jars. He's looking for any kind of trap. I'm going to roll the percentage here. Since he's a magic user, I'll say this will also give him a chance to find the magic trap, but 46, he didn't see it. He didn't notice it. Maybe it was hidden in some dust. And so he ends up interacting with it, and they are all stunned. And how many rounds will they be stunned? 2, 2 more is 4. And 4 more is 8. So that's almost a full turn that they are stunned. So they come 2. They are more careful because we already had the random encounter check, so I'm not going to do another one because that's a little under a round. But I will mark off that time. And they do need to rest. But they will check for what anymore. They don't see anything. And they discover the treasure. So what is the treasure that they've come across? And we need the percentile dice for this. And it is a magic item of some sort. So roll on the magic item table. So let's get to the magic item table. Find the proper location. Treasure. Magic items. All right, magic items. Roll on the table here. Got an 87. That's miscellaneous weapon. And miscellaneous weapons, I believe there's just, let's see. Go to my other table I've been using Unearthed Arcana this whole time, so I'll go back to it. And get to, help if I had already been to the proper charts. Here we are. So miscellaneous magic weapons. There's 2 tables. For the 24, it'll be on the first table, table H. Scroll down to table H. A 97. That is a spear. A spear plus 3. So a spear plus 3 and a pottery jar. So they'll take their rest. And then they'll decide which way to go. So they've checked their map and they realize that the door to the west looks like it leads into a corridor that they came in through, but they didn't see a door, so it's probably a hidden or one-way door on the other side. So 50-50, go south or go west. Also, according to their map, if they go south, there's not a lot of room, so it's probably just a single room. So they're going to go that way first. So we listen at the door to see if we hear anything. And Bernie would not have heard anything if there's anything behind there to hear. And so Gus steps up to open the door. And with a 4, he does. And so what is in this room is a 19. A trick or a trap. So let's go to the next table for that, for the trick or trap. Roll a d20. And it comes up as a wall. 10 feet behind, slides across the passage, blocking it for from 40 to 60 turns. Now, normally, this type of trap would not affect them because they have, with Sven's trident, has a ability to detect large traps, but Sven is not with them. So, they open the door to this empty room. They go in cautiously. So we're going to see if Bernie could possibly detect the traps himself. He does not. That is a 66. And so they walk into this trap and the door slams shut behind them. The wall slams shut behind them. This is a octagonal room. It's 20 feet across in every direction. So it's a small octagonal room. So they are essentially trapped unless they can force the door open. But they are going to search around the room to find a way, try to find a way out of it. And they are going to have another random encounter check. So maybe there was something they're trapped in here with. With a 1, there's something or someone in here. So we're going to do our 50-50 check to see if it's a previously encountered group. With 81, it is not. So this is going to be a fresh encounter. So as we have been doing, I'm going to roll percentile dice. Well, I'm going to roll, first I'm going to roll d20 to determine on which table of the DMG we'll roll on, and then we'll roll percentile dice for DMG and Fiend Folio and treat it as 2d10 for Monster Manual 2 and see what potential creatures we can have. So with a 6 on the D20, second to third level, this would be level 1 dungeon for the DMG. We rolled a 42. So on the DMG, that is human. So there's a human subtable to roll on. First, let's look at the other charts and see what a 42, or in the case of the Monster Manual 2, a 6, treating that as a 4 and a 2. All right, so Fiend Folio 42 is 1 to 4 ghouls, and a Monster Manual 2, a 6 is 1 ochre jelly. So lots of interesting. So D6, 1, 2, DMG, 3, 4, Fiend Folio, 5, 6, Monster Manual. A 4. So we're going with ghouls. So this could get tricky for our players here. Our player characters, I guess I should say, since I am both DM and player. So Fiend Folio, 1d4 ghouls, and we rolled a 2. A lot of 2s out of that D4 this go round. So, as I usually do, let's roll to see if this is a roll the percentage to see if this dungeon is the ghoul lair. So there will be more ghouls other places in the dungeon. 80%, no, it is not. 20% chance. All right, ghouls have 2 hit dice, and since there's 2 of them, I'll go ahead and roll hit points individually. So first ghoul, 7, and 1 is 8. Second ghoul, 7, and 6 is 13. So 8 and 13, they have armor class of 6, and they have 2 hit dice. They will be attacking as 2 hit dice creatures on the attack matrix. They have 3 attacks and paralyzation, potential for paralyzation. So let's see who's surprised. Is the party surprised? They roll a 3, so they are not surprised. Are the ghouls surprised? They roll a 6, they are not surprised. So now we roll initiative. The party rolls a 3, the ghouls roll a 6, so the ghouls will attack first. And so let's see, who will they attack? They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential targets. So we'll roll a d8 and see who the first ghoul attacks. With a 7, that's Prayer. He is attacked, and they will need a, let's see, they hit a -4 on 20, 20 on a -4 AC on 20. Prayer is a 4, is a 0, so the 16 or better. A 3. All right, second ghoul, who will he attack? Also Prayer. So they're trying to gang up on Prayer. A 14, also a miss. Prayer manages to wield them off. Hello, everyone. Future Phantom here, or Interrupting Phantom here. I realized ghouls get 3 attacks, so we're going to run through the other attacks here. They need, again, a 16 or better. So first ghoul, second attack, a 1. Third attack, an 11. Second ghoul, second attack, an 18, so that's a hit. And third attack, 4. So Prayer gets hit 1 time. Ghoul attacks are 1 to 3, 1 to 3, 1 to 6 damage. So since it was the second attack, it'll be 1 to 3, so we'll roll d6. 1 or 2 is 1, 3 or 4 is 2, 5 or 6 is 3. And a 3, that's 2 points of damage. And Prayer now has to save versus paralyzation. His save versus paralyzation is a 16, so must roll 16 or higher. And with a 17, successfully resist the paralysis. I now return you to the combat already in progress. See, and they are evil creatures, so everyone's in enough proximity of Gus that they'll get a defense bonus. It'll be a -1 to the attack for the ghouls. So now the party takes their turn Well, Prier strike back at one of the ones that's hitting him. He rolled a 20, and he is using his longsword to get a +2 to this damage. He rolls 3 points of damage. So which of the ghouls is that? Is that the 8 or the 13? It is the one with the 8. So that ghoul is down to 5. And now Michael attacks. He rolls a 15. With his bonus and all, that's more than enough to hit armor class 6. So he's 1d6 plus 4 damage. That's 3, so that's going to be 7 damage. So which one will it be? It is also the one that had 8, so that ghoul is down. We have Sir Gus. He rolls a 7. He misses. Bernie rolls a 15. That's going to be good enough to hit. Which ghoul was he targeting? He was targeting the other ghoul. So he rolls his 1d8 plus 6. He rolls an 8, so he fells that ghoul with 1 blow. So the party made quick work of those ghouls. Now, how long will they be stuck in this room? So the wall is 40 to 60 turns. Let's see, how do you get, what dice do you roll to get a low result of 40 and a high result of 60? Anyone listening, if you know a dice combination to do this, let me know. I think I'm going to go with, can't be D10s. Can't be D8s because D8s aren't going to give you 60. D12s aren't going to give you, D12s will give you 60 but won't give you 40. D6s will give you 60 but not 40. D4s will give you both, but I don't know any way to do a minimum of 40. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll a D6. And if it's 1, 2, 3, I'll multiply it by 20. If it's 4, 5, 6, I'll multiply it by 10. That's all I know to do. I come up with 3, so 60 turns. So that's 10 hours. Unless they can force their way out. So let's look at our player stats and see. Let's look and see what the strength stat gives us for an opportunity to get out of here. So let's go to character abilities here. Strength. So we have bend bars, lift gates, and we have open doors. Now, open doors is what I've been using. There is on really high strengths, there is a chance in parentheses under open doors for a fighter to be able to open a locked, barred, magically held, or wizard locked door. But only one attempt ever be made per door. There's also the bend bars, lift gates score. So let's see, who has even the chance with the parentheses to get this done? Let's see. So Sir Gus obviously does because he has his 1800 strength. He has a chance of 2 on a D6 for the magically locked doors and such. So I think that could apply, or 40% bend bars, lift gates. Who else have we got? Bernie. Bernie has a 17. He's got a low bend bars, lift gates. He can't do anything with magical. Harl and Quinn don't have anything special strength-wise. Prier's a 15. Michael's a 13. Is that that's everybody in the group. So really it's just Gus. Gus has a chance. I'm going to give him a couple of shots. I'm going to give him a bend bar lift gate shot, and then if not, I'll let him try again using the magical solidly held door since it's a sliding wall and it's not trying to lift it vertically. So we'll go bend bars, lift gates first. He's got a 40% chance there. And he rolls a 6. So he does get them out of the room, but he's going to need a rest after that. And they need a rest after the combat anyway. Actually, they need a rest after the combat, and then he makes the attempt, and they can give him a chance to rest after that. And they do the rest of them do a search of the room while he's taking that rest. So they get it back out into the 20 foot by 20 foot room, and they take the door to the east. Gus is up. Well, first we'll listen. He would not have heard anything if there's anything behind it. Gus is up, and he rolls a 4. He's just an opening machine today. Room contents. We roll monster and treasure. All right. Actually, we'll do a random encounter roll here too, so we could double up on the monsters here. All right, by 2. So nothing there. All right. So is this some creatures they've encountered before? 50% chance it is. So we'll roll on my table of creatures we've encountered here. Oh, that's a d20, so I don't need the percentile dice for that. And with a 16, we are going to get berserkers. We haven't run into some of these guys before. I mean, in a while. And at this level, the berserkers, they're probably just going to encounter the rest of them, which is their chief, who is a barbarian level 7, and that's modified. Usually there's fighters, but I think barbarians make more sense since I'm using Unearthed Arcana with berserkers. And 9 berserkers. So a total of 10 berserkers. So reaction roll here. They are neutral, so there's not going to be any kind. Let's see, will there be a negative? Actually, I think there will be. Yeah, it's 2 places removed, so it's minus 15%. Gus is a plus 30 on his reactions, so it'd be a plus 15. They do have the advantage that they've had some fairly good relations with these guys because they've taught them into getting out. And so they have some familiarity with them, and they probably have some way of recognizing them and maybe giving some kind of sign given to them by their other berserkers so when they find these groups. But this is the leader, so he could go opposite. So I'm going to say a minus 10 instead of a minus 15. So it'll be a plus 20 to the roll. That was a mouthful. All right, and we rolled a 22. So plus 20 would be 42, uncertain but 55% prone toward negative. And we rolled a 58. So it's a positive result. And they do manage to kind of talk the berserkers down after some initial showing hostilities. And you know what? Let's roll surprise because I probably shouldn't have given them that plus 20 if the party was surprised. Or is the party surprised? 5, no. So they had an ample opportunity to convince the berserkers, and they just barely did. And they convinced them to be escorted out. So that's the last of the berserkers will be leaving the area. So let's go back to the appendices and see what kind of treasure is in this room and how it's hidden. And since they didn't have to fight the berserkers, well, they could have fought the berserkers, so I'm not going to have a trap because I don't usually have both. That's usually the creature is usually the protection. So percentile dice for treasure. Or a 76. That's 100 platinum pieces per level. No, 250 gold pieces per level. So that's 750 gold pieces. And we're going to roll for, what is it in? It is in bags. So bags with 750 gold pieces. For the barbarians. All right. I mean, the berserkers. Blech. And they do a search of the room, and they don't find anything else. And there's another random encounter here. A 2, no encounter. And so that's it for this section of this subsection. There's one last section kind of in the south to southeast corner of this section to explore. But we will have to get back to that next time. The opening theme of this podcast was Strength of the Titans, and the closing music is Late Night Radio, both from Kevin MacLeod at Incompetech.com, licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 4.0 license. If you have any thoughts or feedback, you can get in touch with me by leaving me a voicemail on my Google Voice number, 864-209-1441. That's 864-209-1441. Or through SpeakPipe at www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. That's www.speakpipe.com/Phantom Thoughts. Or you can send me a message or an audio file on Discord, where I can be found the Pink Phantom, or through email, phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. That's phantomthoughtspodcast@gmail.com. I don't have to play or read your feedback on the podcast if that is not your preference. Just let me know.